really think that Donald Trump is going to sit down and carefully, personally review 1,500 separate cases?
But Anna.
Well, we are back on the Young Turks today, everybody, and they are talking about an interview Donald Trump did with Hannity, Sean Hannity from Fox News. In this particular segment, they're discussing in particular some questions Hannity was asking Donald Trump about the pardons of the January 6ers. Especially the fact that there was like a blanket pardon of all of them instead of looking at them on a case-by-case basis. So you might imagine that Anna Kasparian and Cenk Uygur of the Young Turks are not really on board with that, and they have something to say. So let's get into it and see where this goes.
You did run on a platform. You were very straightforward. You said you would pardon these people that were sentenced for January 6th.
Yeah, totally.
You did. The only criticism or pushback I've seen is about people that were convicted or were involved in incidents where they were violent with police. Why did they get a pardon?
Fox News anchor Sean Hannity had a lengthy sit-down interview with Donald Trump and asked the question that I'm sure many are wondering. Why exactly did he think it was a good idea to do sweeping pardons of the January 6th rioters, namely the individuals who carried out acts of violence against the police officers on that day? And Trump basically, I mean, look, the guy doesn't hold back, right? He just says what he actually thinks. And in this case, he admitted that he didn't really care enough to go through the case-by-case review of individuals who were seeking to be pardoned. Let's take a look.
Number one, they were in there for 3.5 years, a long time. And in many solitary confinement, treated like nobody's ever been treated so badly. They were treated like the worst criminals in history. And you know what they were there for? They were protesting the vote because they knew the election was rigged and they were protesting the vote. And that you should be allowed to protest a vote. You should be allowed to. You know, when the day comes...
You shouldn't be able to invade the Capitol.
No, ready? Most of the people were absolutely innocent. Okay, but forgetting all about that, these people have served horribly a long time. It would be very, very cumbersome to go and look. You know how many people we're talking about? 1,500 people. Almost all of them should not have been, this should not have happened. And the other thing is this, some of those people with the police, true, but they were very minor incidents, okay? You know, they get built up by that couple of fake guys that are on CNN all the time.
Nobody watches.
They were very minor incidents, and it was time. You have murderers in Philadelphia. You have murderers in Los Angeles that don't even get any time.
And those murderers in Los Angeles and Philly should 100% get time behind bars.
I love this. I love the text here on the screen. Hannity confronts Trump about pardoning January 6th cult beaters. All right. Yeah, I mean, there's an argument to be made that if anybody who committed, you know, violent crimes on that day, you know, maybe shouldn't get pardoned. But as far as I know, there was no violent crime committed that day that would merit anything more than the time they have already spent in jail or in custody. And the vast majority of them were just, yeah, there was some rioting, but I mean, they've nothing that would, well, lots of them didn't do any rioting at all. They just kind of strolled through the Capitol building. Some did, of course, and some got a bit violent. And if, you know, anyone committed violent crimes that were serious, yeah, I agree, they should be convicted for them. And they were convicted. So Trump could have commuted the sentences of those instead of pardoning them. I understand that argument for sure. But yeah, you know, he probably just couldn't be bothered, you know, or couldn't be bothered to have his team use resources on it. He's sending a message. That's what it seems like to me. He's sending a message that we will not tolerate political prosecutions. And those prosecutions were very much politically orientated. No doubt about it.
If they're convicted of murdering people. But, you know, look, I think it's important to differentiate people who were convicted of lesser charges, let's say stuff like trespassing, from the individuals who absolutely did carry out acts of violence, and it was caught on camera. In fact, let me just quickly detail one of those individuals, one of those rioters. So his name is Matthew Kroll, and we're about to watch a video. Let's keep our mics up while I explain what you're seeing on the screen. This is a perfect example of someone who I don't think should have been pardoned. He's the individual wearing the red hoodie. He stole a baton from a police officer. You can see him holding it there and hitting someone over the head with it. And then the person he's hitting over the head is a police officer. He proceeds to assault cops with the baton he snatched away from a cop. So listen, if you're going to put everyone in the same bucket and pretend as if they were all, dealing with heavy-handed, prosecution, when all they did was mosey on into the Capitol building after the initial...
Now, it's interesting they point out this particular guy. I don't know anything about him. Matthew Kroll, she said. He grabbed a baton from one of the cops, one of the riot cops, and, started hitting the cops and the cops' shields. First of all, the cops are in riot gear. The hitting he was doing there did not do anything to that policeman. Not at all. They had riot gear on, helmets, shields, visors, everything. He did not hurt anybody there, any of the cops at least. But he tried. And since he tried, he should be punished for it. Absolutely. Secondly, since they showed him specifically, I'm thinking that that's probably one of the worst examples. Otherwise, the Young Turks would be showing something a lot worse. So if that's the level of violence that this riot reached, I'm sorry, I'm just unimpressed. And yes, I will say, what about all the BLM riots? All of them, not just the one on the one day, because remember, January 6th was literally just one day for a few hours. The whole thing, unlike the Summer of Love, which was in many cities across the country and extremely violent and extremely damaging too, and extremely deadly. So... yeah, I think it is. We are entitled to say, what about equal justice? And okay, so the guy hit cops. Yeah, if he did that to a normal person, he would, be charged and found guilty of assault and battery, I guess, of some kind. You do it against a cop, you're going to get more, because when you commit crimes like that against public officials, I think the law says you get an elevated sentence, which I personally think is right. But yeah, dude's been in custody for nearly 4 years, so come on.
Storming of the Capitol happened. It's just a total mischaracterization of some of these charges, of some of these individuals. Now, how many of these individuals carried out acts of violence? I don't know the exact number. What I do know is those people, unfortunately, were included in the sweeping pardons that Donald Trump did. And the reason why he's getting backlash is because people don't want to let individuals who assault cops off easy. And they feel that in this case, Donald Trump did.
Yeah, so I'm going to get to the substance of this in a second. First of all, they need higher chairs at the White House. So you'll go back and look at that clip of the interview and go, why are the chairs so short? Anyways, number two, oh, you see it? They look like they're kindergartners. Anyway, the tiniest point in history. So Hannity starts with, the only pushback I've seen is of, you releasing the violent criminals. I'm pretty sure I've seen other pushback of releasing all of the January 6th guys, but I get it. He's saying it from a right-wing perspective. Trump says, oh, there's just a couple of fake guys on CNN. Those are actually real police officers who were assaulted, and one of them had a heart attack afterwards. There's absolutely nothing fake about them. That's the usual Trump nonsense. But now we get to the substance of it. First, that whether it's an excuse or real, that was an amazing statement when he's like, I mean, looking through the whole case files would have been cumbersome. What does that mean? I was too lazy to figure out which one shoplifted and which one murdered, so cumbersome.
Yeah, typical Young Turks argument. Obviously, the range of crimes committed by the rioters did not range from the equivalent of shoplifting to murder. That's obviously not what happened. The range of crimes was much more limited, from trespassing to some sort of assault like we saw in that video.
I just let them all go. Okay, so in this case, obviously, shoplifting and murder are examples that not what actually happened. So, but it might just be an excuse for, I really wanted to let him go. That's why I let him go, and I'll pretend that I'm just lazy. Although he really is lazy, so it might be real. Anyways, so why would he want to let him go? Well, look, you know the obvious answers, but now I'm talking about just the violent criminals, the one that attacked the cops. Does he actually believe all the things he's said about the cops? Blue lives matter, got to protect the police, etc. No, he doesn't care about the police. He doesn't care about anybody, right? Though there's one guy he cares about, Donald J. Trump. So these guys went to war for him, and they committed violence for who? For Trump, of course. Look, unless you're like total MAGA cult, and you think all those people did that violence for Nancy Pelosi or Antifa or tourism, they obviously did it for Trump. So Trump's going, hey, thanks a lot, guys. Not just for past services of willing to say, hang Mike Pence and attack cops and do anything for Donald Trump. But if you think about it, also potentially for future reasons. Hey, if I need you guys to attack someone else again, number one, you're free to go, so you can do that. And number two, remember, if you do it, I'm just gonna let you out of prison anyway.
Yeah, I don't know. I think he's lazy. That story came out yesterday. You weren't on the show, but I covered it, and I totally believe it. You really think that Donald Trump is going to sit down and carefully, personally review 1,500 separate cases?
No, but
yeah,
Anna, look, so is he lazy? I've said it 8 times already in this story, and that's part of the reason, but I don't think that's the main reason. And second of all, the president doesn't have to personally do that. You just assign some guy at the White House. You'll have your answer for which cases to sift through in a matter of hours, right? So, I mean, so that's no excuse.
So you think he's building an army of violent offenders who are going to create all sorts of havoc and fight on his behalf? Like that's what this is about?
Well, Anna, he already did. During the debate with Biden in 2020, he said, Proud Boys stand by. And they did stand by, and then they did attack the Capitol. And after they did assault the cops, and they did chant.
This is sounding a bit paranoid to me. Yeah, he's got his private army standing by, Proud Boys stand by. First of all, I don't know how correct that quote is, so let me know in the comments, and how, you know, contextually accurate it is, because people love to take Donald Trump out of context. You know, this whole it'll be a bloodbath sort of thing. And yeah, I mean, a lot of people, not just Proud Boys, were involved in the riots, in the protests and riots, including loads of informers, loads of FBI agents and FBI informers. So has it really been determined how much of that violence was actually incited by the feds? Because that absolutely happens. The FBI is notorious for entrapment and incitement. So let me know what you think in the comments if you have any information to add. And yeah, I'm sure this story will continue, but in the meantime, Trump will do 10 other things, and he's a master. I mean, I think he's got masterful political instincts and masterful instincts at handling the media, you know, or manipulating the media even, because they're like kittens with a shiny object, and Trump is just throwing out shiny objects left, right, and center, day and night, and he's brilliant at it. He's brilliant at it, and he's brilliant at making the media chase after them. So anyway, please comment, like, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video.